Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. We're on episode 7, and in the last episode, it went an entirely different way than I had anticipated it going. I thought it was going down the same route that Season 1 kind of did, which was the first half of the season kind of was, like episode arcs. They weren't arcs that, transcended the whole, story of the full season. And they were just little episode arcs that were contained and started and finished within one episode. And then the latter half of the season focused on the claw stuff, and that was like the bigger sort of picture kind of thing they had going on there. And I figured that's what they were going to do with this. And it seems like they are not. They're focusing a lot on the character stuff, and that's, I'm fine with it, because I think character development is a very sometimes underutilized thing. And I think when you have characters that you actually care about more, then the story is richer, and it tends to be better. So I'm absolutely fine with it. But essentially, it went an entirely different way than I had anticipated, with Reagan and Mob sort of parting ways a bit. Reason being is Mob is clearly developing as a character. He's having fun times with his friends. He's getting out more. He's not like a social outcast that he kind of felt like he was at the very beginning of season 1. And because of that, he's actually, basically took on board what Reagan said to heart, and started doing thinking for himself and growing up. So basically, it was Reagan's fault that he's they parted ways a bit. But Reagan was the lonely one, and it was sort of tough to see him in that way, because we've always seen him as the confident guy, and you never really thought that it would get this low for him, but it definitely has. And honestly, quite frankly, I love it. It is tough to see him like that, but it's a great sort of facet to his character, and the fact that he is a flawed character just means that it's just a better story overall with him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this next episode. He's on TV now, and I basically put my theories as to what might happen in the last episode discussion. So if you want to know what that is, then you can go have a look at that. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. So yeah, we're going to get an episode 7 and see what we get. If you want to see the full reaction to this unedited, then you can do by going to my Patreon and becoming a full-length tier patron. And yeah, so that is it. So let's get in episode 7. See what we get. Okay, episode 7. Oh, yeah, that was a nice feel good there at the end. They're back together now, and it's good because they know who each other is now, and they can't keep it from each other. And they're, it's good because it's not a one-way relationship. It seemed from almost the very get-go, where it's clear cut. Reagan is the sensei, the mentor, and Mob is underneath but does everything, does all the stuff, but it works each way, and they both learn from each other. Reagan kept him on that straight and narrow from the very beginning when they met, and I love that that's what Mob takes above all else from that very beginning conversation. And from that's his basis on how he sees Reagan, and it's not just a case of being his mentor, teaching how to control powers. It's never been about that, which is actually a very sort of good point, and something that I never really sort of thought before, was that Mob has never really been one to think of his sort of powers in that way. So it makes sense why he would, why the main thing that he would see in Reagan is is how he is, normally, and not in the whole spiritual stuff. So that was really nice. Yeah. So I mean, geez, that got way bad for a second there. It ended up being worse than I originally thought. I thought it would have been bad enough Reagan going there and nothing happening. If the kid was not an actor and it was actually something where he was possessed and nothing was happening, even though Reagan was trying, that would be bad enough. But the fact that he kept trying all of these special moves and stuff for half an hour, and then Jodo came out and basically, unraveled the whole thing, even though Reagan knew from the beginning, he knew that it was an act, and that was the reason why he was so confident in doing what he was doing, because he thought of it as the script to, that's the way that it would go, and it ended up backfiring. If he'd come out and just spouted out that this was fake first, it would have been the smartest thing to do, but he didn't, because that whole thing of like wanting to be somebody, which is obviously something that ended up coming back later, which is something that Reagan had wrote when he was in school. I imagine it was one of them things where like, you get like a high school photo and whatever, and like you write underneath it or whatever, like what, like some sort of life ambition or something like that. And he ended up writing, "I want to be somebody," which is, that's like the worst thing that the journalist could have picked up on, because then it's just like, well, you want to be somebody. That kind of has connotations with people who will do anything to be somebody. So, faking their way up to the top kind of thing, faking it till you make it kind of thing. So the connotations were there, and it did break down Reagan there. Like, all the characters were saying, like, that's not fucking hell. Like, he's not himself right now. And from then, that was when it kind of just all, it all sort of fell into place from there. Like, that was like the defining moment where Reagan had realized, like, I've been a horrible person, and especially to like the one kid who, who's like always been there for me kind of thing. And yeah, it was nice when he came back and he says, you've really grown, haven't you? It's just nice, man. It's just so heartwarming. It really is. But yeah, I mean, I don't, the whole realizing that he wasn't there for kind of like, for Mob and just using him is very much a case with the people at the bar. I wrote down that like they were, the fuckers at the pub or whatever, right? I mean, even when he went there last episode, and he was monologuing in his head, and he was talking about how they're kind of easy pickings for people like me. But even though he was thinking that, it's this thing that we've always had with Reagan since the beginning of the show, where on the outset is that he is a con man, and how can he be a con man yet be like, but like his morals are in the right place though, and his heart's in the right place. So it's always been like that kind of thing that's been, like juggled in the air between those two sort of facets of his character. And with the people at the pub, like, yeah, like he may have been like, thinking about, it's just easy pickings or anything like that, but he was there and talking to them, helping them through their problems. Like, sometimes it wasn't even like, it might not have even been spiritual stuff. Like, even the one dude last episode was talking about the dating scheme thing or whatever it was, right? Like, it's just being there, having somebody to talk to, and he did that for them, and they ended up being ungrateful bastards, just completely shrugging him off when he entered the bar. I mean, who knows? Maybe it ended up being for the greater good, but I still don't think that justifies their fucking reaction to it. Like, absolute fuckers. Because I was talking about last episode about how it, like, when he was in the pub, like, is it one of those things where he does stuff for them, but does anyone do anything for him? And it's not like a two-way street like he has with Mob. So, and it's interesting that sort of thing carries on with Reagan, about how he has used Mob in the past, and it wasn't a two-way street from his side as well. So it's something that sort of like, if you're looking at it in a sort of chain, the people at the pub, him, and then Mob, it just kind of carried on with him, and he was doing the exact same thing. But it's a really nice sort of 2-arc episode regarding the whole character thing with Reagan. And I think it's the show will be better because of it. You know, and it's going to be interesting to see how he is now, especially with Mob. Like, I can imagine, you know, beforehand it was just like, call him up, we've got a job on. Now I feel I wonder how that's like going to go. I feel like he's not going to call him up all the time, or it's going to be like a nicer thing where it's like going to be, you know, like, oh, we've got a job, are you available, as opposed to like, get yourself over here, you know. So yeah, it'll be nice to see that. Yeah, so he got another message from his mother, who obviously saw what was going on. Actually, like, got an apology letter, and sent it to him. Bless her. What a nice mother. And yeah, I was thinking that would be an apology. Would basically be admitting that you were faking it, right? That's what it would be. You know, so I'm surprised he even printed it out, to be honest. You know, but at the end of the day, he got there and he just sort of just went, oh, whatever, you know what I mean, and then just decided to wing it anyway. So yeah, what else? Yeah, the when the building started shaking and everything like that, I was, what was going on? Because I thought it was going to be like a convenient, like, spirit within the building, and then what would have happened would Mob would come, sort it out, and the people would think that Reagan sorted it out, you know, and then we'll be back to sort of normal. That's not how it happened at all, though. And then afterwards, Mob was outside. I assume Reagan was coming back from that building, and I don't know where the building was, like, you know, relative to where Mob was, if he was right outside or anything. Because I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would have been Mob that did it. And also, I don't know if there was. I don't know. I never sensed anything from Mob beforehand when he was looking at the TV and whatever. Like, oh, I need to go help him out, kind of thing, you know. And it's nice that he would kind of do that for Reagan, but I feel like at the behest of, like, other people, like, in danger, the whole building's fucking shaking. For all I know, it could have actually just been an earthquake, like, and you know, and Reagan sort of took credit for it. He didn't even take credit. I like the fact that he didn't take credit, actually, and he kind of went very vague so that it didn't have to, like, he didn't have to lie about it. He didn't come out and say, no, that definitely wasn't me. You know, he just said, I don't know, I wonder, you know. But I love that it was like a two-way thing where he benefited out of it, but also, like, he got his own back on the journalists and everything like that. You know, which is great. I love it, because yeah, I fucking hate journalists. They're absolute bastards. So yeah, that was great. And then obviously at the end, then, you know, Mob known from the beginning. I imagine that's a sort of double entendre thing he's doing there, like, because obviously he said, I knew from the beginning that you were a genuine good guy. You know, I imagine I imagine Mob knew from the beginning, like, also that he doesn't have, like, sort of special powers either, you know, Reagan. But, you know, that just sort of, that furthers that, like, sort of good feeling I get from the fact that Mob doesn't see it as a mentorship for, you know, for his psychic abilities and stuff, and he just sees the, you know, the good guy within him, which is you know, which is cool. You know, it's a nice little sort of message for life. So yeah, I really like that. But anyway, yeah, that is all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've linked certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers there that you can go have a look at. There's the early access for $5 a month, gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunt to Hunt every week. There's the $10 a month for the full length. So if you want to see my full length reactions to this show, My Hero Academia, The Promised Neverland, anything like that, then you know, you can go have a look and get access to that. And there's also other tiers where you can pay to have a certain show reacted to. So if you want me to react to a show, go have a look at those and see what they offer. But that's all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.